Hey everyone, Lotus Globe here. It's been a long time since my last astrology podcast, and I know that the last time that I had said that I was going to make a new video, I was going to cover the subject of Lilith. And first, before getting into that, I figured I'd take just a minute to show you that I got my new astrology zodiac map here, and it's got all the alchemy steps that correspond with each of the 12 signs. So I bought that off of Etsy for about $15, and it's really nice. It's a pretty amazing map to look at when you're considering looking at how each of the 12 zodiac signs fit into the realm of alchemy, by understanding how even if even if you may disregard 11 of those 12 signs and focus only on the sign that has to do with the day and your birth date, basically, it's still good to see how the other signs fit into just the much bigger picture of evolution, understanding how consciousness can only evolve by understanding, the whole wheel of the zodiac. And I just thought, it was very interesting to take that into consideration when I bought it. So that's why I did it. So yeah. Anyways, we're gonna jump right in, and this this podcast today, or this blog video, is gonna be about Lilith, because I know that Lilith has been a subject that has been on my mind, especially since my last video, and I've been taking quite a bit of time doing a lot of journaling and, you know, just drawing diagrams to comprehend what Lilith energy appears to be, how it's modeled, and that was very important to me when I decided that I was going to make this video, and that's why I knew it was going to take this long to create this video, because, well, let's face it, Lilith is not a very, very easy type of energy to deal with or even to understand in the astrology chart. It's basically a factor X. It if you understand how Lilith operates, she is, just this passionate, chaotic, lustful creature that represents that dimension that is incomprehensible, dimension that exists in the void, in this ever infinite realm of desire. And being that is the case, her influence, I feel, really presides over the summer more than any other season. I mean, Lilith's energy is obviously felt all year round, but it's mostly notable from my observation in how she manifests in the summer season. And so the dark summer of Lilith has definitely, taken herself, into this form of, this 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 very elusive but but obviously very necessary part of my life, because obviously as somebody who has, struggled as a man to, you know, model himself as a very, very positive figure in the world by taking control of the black dragon that is known as the Kundalini energy, you know, um, and it's of course a symbol that is often talked about in Tantra, because the thing is, sexuality really, really defines what it means to measure yourself as a man. It, really, really embodies what, masculine energy is. And I think that by returning to Lilith and understanding, her theological origins as, being the feminine equivalent of Adam, who is, shared the same earth together, it helps to understand then just how to find truth, how to really, really, discover that ancient truth of what reality is, and in terms of how, sexuality manifests. And this really, really goes into explaining, the importance of, control, of, learning how to build, to amplify, to sublimate that energy, because obviously that energy, in its base form, in this 3D reality, seems to manifest more horizontally as, primal physical lust, that feeling of wanting to get some, you know, that feeling of, getting a piece of ass, that's the coding, the program code for what the root and the sacral chakra is, sending to you. That's the message that it's transmitting to you cognitively. And, it, to a healthier degree, signifies hunger too, especially because, like, the sacral chakra has a lot to do with, how you feed yourself and nurture yourself as well, because it's, it deals with, the emotional nature of life, and as well as, the sexual side of life too. It's basically that gauge for how you discover what pleasure and pain is. So, in my personal inner quest to dig up the knowledge of Lilith, I've come to discover that, the need to obviously find intimacy and closeness, while at the same time also experiencing, this ascension, through, this graceful ascension of willpower through the solar plexus and then up through the heart chakra, has been a very necessary part of this quest too. And it's been very, very challenging for me, because obviously, I think that Lilith also represents entity attachment. If there's if there's a certain wound, such as sexual abuse, you know, then obviously working towards meeting your sexual needs has to be, a mission to heal the deity, rather than merely feeding it. And so this, calls into question, the importance, the importance of, first understanding your boundaries, understanding personal autonomy by claiming your sexuality. And you do that, of course, by not allowing yourself to fall into the void of pornographic images that otherwise smother that energy around, and cause drainage, which ultimately, of course, leads to, compulsive eating and excessive sleeping, which also means you have excessive tiredness attached to it too, so obviously the question that I would pose to Lilith in understanding, how to work with the X factor in my chart and help to integrate it, especially right now, with, Mars going retrograde right now, and, a lot of, the archetype of Aries definitely, firing up my chart. I do actually have Lilith in Aries, that's actually why I'm talking about this video. I have, Mars in Aries, and I have Chiron in Aries, and so that's a lot of, masculine energy that's been, squandered about and tainted and, violated by entities from a dark antimatter dimension. So anyways, the question that I would pose to Lilith is, what does it mean, what mode of action, is going to be energizing and amplifying as far as moving on a healthy path with your sexual urges? What exactly is, the right direction in which these sexual energies should move towards, because, the conflict here is that, you first have to feel comfortable with your energy without being dependent on images to get you excited, but just to merely experience, to feel that energy, powering up your aura, and as a complementary balance, also experiencing, the power of Venus in this case, and experiencing, a healthy amount of sensuality, to balance it out too, in order to give that sexual energy, a layer of tenderness and emotional nourishment to it too, So I mean, that's one part of this two-part operation, as far as, moving, the dragon of creative energy towards some sort of desirable goal. And, you know, illuminating, the presence of a chosen lover, a chosen goddess to experience that union of energies with. Now the second part of that is where things get really, really shaky, because first of all, it is almost never going to be a reality that you're going to meet somebody and they're going to have sex with you already, within like the first few minutes that you get to know them. Unless that person is a sex worker, and that's where money comes into the picture because, with fulfilling sexual, urges, fetishes, kinks, fantasies, and all manner of, this Lilith themed energy, all that carries along with it a certain degree of psychological weight too. And so therefore that's the reason why people set up boundaries, because in the world that I live in, unfortunately, I always have to be aware of the fact that most women, when they meet a man who is very much, in, a very sexual mood, is someone that is perceived as someone who is very, very animalistic in nature. And this is where the term predator or predatory comes from, because, that fear frequency is always present when you meet a woman. Of course, when you're watching a porn video or you're looking at a certain image in a magazine, if it's, say, Maxim or Playboy or even Cosmopolitan or Elle magazine, that image of her is very flat and two-dimensional. So you can perceive her in whatever framework you like, because your interpretation will usually stick within that very narrow confine there of expression. But when you are actually with a real woman who has moving behaviors and shifting moods, those interpretations fall flat. And it calls, of course, for a much, more multidimensional, direction of interpretation. Even having dreams about sex, can be very, very limited, if, when you try to apply a singular interpretation to it and assume that if this woman in your dream is somebody that you've met in real life, but you experience her in your dream, you would jump to the conclusion that that dream was a vision of you having sex with this person, that this is a future vision of having sex with this person. And really, what is a dream, but a connection with, collective unconsciousness, with collective memory, and, what you may be experiencing in a dream may merely just be an arrow pointing you towards, whatever direction down the rabbit hole you're supposed to be traveling, in order to fulfill whatever's in that dream. And so obviously that's, I do not and have not ever identified or have gotten myself stuck in a very, very predatory status as far as, having my sexual needs fulfilled. I've always, perceived myself as just an innocent child who wants to believe that, that the world is full of women who are already awakened to their goddess energy and, are are obviously very, very horny by nature as well. So therefore are very, very complementary in frequency to what a man is experiencing. I mean, after all, you know, and this is not using the term in a very degrading or belittling sense, but a woman, who identifies as a slut is somebody who feels very uninhibited, who also has that very, very innocent mindset of just wanting to make a man happy, by allowing a man, to see her body as this wonderful three-dimensional matrix of earthly pleasures in which, every body part, has a certain geometry and has a certain metaphorical association with something in nature. Whether it's like identifying, a woman's thighs, for example, as like identifying that of a cave, or like, the moistness of her vagina, representing like a river of nectar flowing through and out of that cave, or her breasts, as, these two wonderful hills, of, nurturing motherly energy that, protrude from the ground. Whatever metaphor you use and apply creatively, like ideally, and, I believe it is, my birthright, that obviously connecting with the quantum reality that is needed, in order to transmute these sexual urges so that a union of love and creativity can come to light, then that is where the fires of Lilith can provide the construction needed to basically give form and structure to desire. And of course I did talk about this in one of my previous videos, since I had a video that was entitled The Structure of Desire. So anyways, this whole speech right here has been to sum up Lilith. And Lilith right now is, in a sign that is considered, the most primal and the most potent, because Aries is a sign, that's associated with new beginnings. It's associated with the origins of consciousness. Everything that I've just said is what falls under the narrative of Lilith, and how to, what tools and technologies, what spiritual and mental technologies are necessary in order to bring the fire of Aries out of the dark primordial caves of Lilith, and to bring them into this reality. So, yeah, I think that's all I needed to say. This is pretty much just a very general breakdown of what Lilith basically means in the astrology chart, and I'm planning to go into some more specifics about it. I'm definitely going to go more into like sign and house placement of Lilith, and how Lilith should be approached when looked at in the astrology chart. And for right now, I bid you adieu, and restfully move forward on your great quest into, you know, into the, onto the path of bliss. And may the ever shifting puzzles of the zodiac signs, guide you along every step of the way safely. With that in mind, I should end this video by showing a close-up of this. So, yeah, this, hopefully you get a good image here. Some light blocking the way here, but yeah, so yeah, those are all the 12 zodiac signs, and then there's words in between each of them. There's like two categories. There's the actual name of the zodiac sign, and then there's the alchemical property associated with it. So, like Aries right here, you have calcination. With Taurus, you have coagulation, and so on and so forth. Like Aquarius here symbolizes multiplication, Pisces symbolizes projection, and so on and so forth. There's also the 4 main elements there too, and I think all the main planetary glyphs too. Obviously, you can see there's the sun and the moon right there at the top. So, yeah, anyways, I definitely recommend buying this if you can find another one off of Etsy, because it's a really nice model to have, for a budding astrologer, someone who's just learning his or her trade. So, yeah. So anyways, signing off, and I bid you great, silent nights. All is bright, and all is divine, and all is exploding with great cosmic confetti. Yeah. Okay. See you in the next video. Peace.